So we wanted to discuss a few things on the complexity which is coming up in the field of the cloud and the SaaS softwares or SaaS platform. So we would like to understand why SaaS? SaaS, why it is so required these days?
You will have to understand from the user point of view. I think, the basic requirement of SaaS has originated mostly from the user standpoint, right? And also from being resourcefulness point of view. For example, before the SaaS, how SaaS originated we'll have to understand, right? Before cloud world, your data was not very easy to share. So it was very difficult even for the software vendors who used to make the software for you and then make an upgrade on your softwares. So that's why on those traditional days, when this cloud was not there and data was not easy for you to share across the platform using internet. In those days, it was required for you to install the software on the platform, like how the traditional use cases used to be. Yes, like a Outlook or any kind of software. Earlier you used to purchase that and you had to install the software on your laptop. But then the major problem was always with the buyer who used to buy. Because most of the buyers, if you talk about B2C buyers, vast majority of them are not techies.
Right.
So, but they want to use the software. If I am somebody who want to use MS Word, I will just need MS Word. I would not, go through the regular pain point of upgrading the software, fixing the bug, maintenance and all those things and all.
Plus the pricing model.
And pricing model.
Paper
and everything, right.
Yeah.
So, on those days, and same issues were also with the companies. There are many companies, whose primary job is not to focus on the tech. My primary job is hey, I am an e-commerce company, so I'll sell.
Yeah.
I'll focus more on the business rather than focusing on the technology side of it. So why not a company which is hardcore focused on technology should focus on the technology,
Correct.
and why not a company which focuses on the business should focus on their core business and outsource it to something else.
Brilliant.
So that is something
Right.
So that is from the point of usefulness, and removing the headache. Second point was when the cloud came in, so it became far more easier, for the companies to store the data at one location and using the internet, you can share across.
Correct.
So it became easier for the software vendors also, who are actually making the software, So making the software, collecting their customer data at one place and making the software, installing at their own server,
Right.
and giving only the login credentials, to the user,
Right.
and the user can just use the software and they can, one go can simply maintain it. So the maintenance part, cost of maintaining everything, is completely coming down. So if you see that, from the buyer point of view, starting a company or starting a business, the cost has come down very low.
Drastically.
Yes. So today, let's say for example, if in case I want to buy, even if I want to make a software, I don't have to worry about buying other servers.
Correct.
Then I need to I need to hire the administrators for managing the securities and all,
Correct.
Maybe I'll hire only a developer.
Correct.
Okay, and then build a software, and then the place where the software will be hosted, that part, its security, its regular maintenance, platform cost, everything can be done by somebody who's expert in that, So this is basically pushing the transformation and the need for the software and the service model. It's a lot. So nowadays, if you see that, all major companies, who used to always sell the standalone softwares, now everybody is now moving to I would say software as a service model, where they are selling their software only on the basis of uses, So they are targeting the company saying, okay, if he uses this, you use that. Why you need to worry about maintenance of the software?
Right.
If I want to use marketing automation, I am a marketer.
Right.
So I have used marketing automation tool, even if I need to be a little technically in using the application, but I am not worried about installation, those things,
Okay.
fixing bugs, which is not the case.
So what is your expectation from a cloud service provider like us? So what exactly you're looking in that, being a SaaS platform model user, what exactly you're looking for that?
I think, yes, if you look from the normal technology point of view, yes, you can niche out to SaaS industry, right? Is like how you see the SaaS company and how you see the normal companies, right? I think it majorly comes from also the understanding the domain. Right? For example, if you're talking about the cloud vendors, if you're talking about the cloud vendors. So cloud vendors who is selling to a company who is just trying to migrate their, the databases, the servers, right, is different. But if a company, you are trying to sell your cloud solution, right, to a company who's trying to, build a software.
Yeah.
So their primary thing is that, they would be looking in the multiple levels, right?
Correct.
For example, they might be looking for only the infrastructure, like how the Amazon AWS provides, entire infrastructure.
Correct.
So you will only worry about the platform that you install on top of it, maybe the kind of OS, so that is a platform. So infrastructure like security, hardware, RAMs and all those things will come to the infrastructure as a vendor, as like an AWS.
Right.
But let's say if you want to outsource even the platform side, right, the PaaS model, platform as a service model. So then the company would also provide the PaaS. So AWS also provides you the PaaS.
Correct.
So you say, okay, fine, you take our CentOS or maybe Windows.
Correct.
And but in that, whatever you install, that's your job.
That is your job. Yeah.
Your job.
We are giving
So,
you this
yes.
abstracted
So
data.
you're not worried about infrastructure maintenance, you're not worried about the upgrade of the operating system. But what you need to do is whatever is installed in that operating system, right, you need to take care of it.
So what is the challenge you have faced?
No, so I'm coming to it, right?
Okay.
So, but then SaaS model when we talk about, right, that comes again on top of it,
Right.
which is now dealing with the specific softwares.
Right.
So the requirement is that, hey, you are using a software, why you need to worry about, the specific application that you use. For example, email service, maybe antivirus software, or maybe any, I again, right, CRM software.
Right.
Lots of those. So I just I'm not required to, install the software on the system and then use it. So rather, I just give a subscription and use it. So basically, because of the access, anywhere access, always up maintenance, right, security, and the cost of accessing that software, using the software is making it drastically move it. So now from the vendor point of view, right, those who are, let's say, I'll not talk about IaaS and PaaS, infrastructure as a service or PaaS, but if you talk about only the software as a service, I somewhere feel that, right, the companies are selling those kind of services. They need to understand the end customers, those who are want to build a SaaS software. So what kind of requirement they will have? They will look for maybe secure platform OS where their software industry can go. From a business side point of view, they will look for something environmentally secure. Security is the biggest concern.
Very important. Yeah.
Plus, do you really understand the various technologies in the corner cases? For example, WordPress has a different environment, right?
Correct.
Python stack has a different environment.
OTT platforms,
Yes.
tons of those. Yeah.
So we will not talk about the complex ones, but
Yeah.
let's say if you talk about the people who are majorly into startups or small companies, right? So they will use a different kind of stack to build those softwares. One stack, somebody is Python, so Django, another stack, whatever it is. So from a vendor's point of view, that you need to provide, them first of a secure environment. Second one, how feasible for them your system is up, right?
Right.
Then, how easy you're making them for them, so that they can easily charge the bill. Because see, one more thing I see that most of the software vendors face is that when they make a software, especially SaaS companies, right?
Correct.
Major challenge that they face is that, right, I have to bill because they need to go for recurring payments, right?
Correct.
So that they can charge their clients.
Pay per use, yeah.
Now imagine if your platform, if a value proposition that, right, that they have to build a software and your software, your platform is also helping them, to charge their end vendor, right, in a monthly basis, recurring basis, and you have those modules,
Correct.
right? So I somewhere feel that, right, from the vendor standpoint of view, whatever I talked about, right, this is applicable everywhere. But here majorly is understanding of the language, so that when you go to the market, right, talk to the SaaS builders, right? You can empathize well, okay, that you understand their domain,
Right.
at least a language. Even if you might think that okay, software is software,
Right.
but for the end customer, right, you're building, they understand okay, this is for me. So I'm building a SaaS software. This cloud is basically only for the SaaS.
Right.
So they have the needed security
In place, compliance.
in place, compliance is in place.
Very
GDPR, my data is secure.
Right.
It is not being shared with everybody. Yes,
Yeah.
and it is always up. So we say high availability.
Yeah, I will.
So high availability is very good.
Scalability.
Scalable, yes, that's a very important point. So
Right.
scalability is something is one of the biggest thing.
Right.
A platform has to be scalable, like how, and that is the reason, right? If you've seen that, right? If you just evaluate even the AWS services and all, right? You see that, right? For any SaaS software developers, when you go, right, it's very simply easy.
Right.
They can choose which component I want to use. They can scale every single component, whether they want to scale the CDN, their network,
Correct.
their databases,
Yeah.
data warehouses, scale as and when, and they are being charged.
Right.
So I think if you leave aside infrastructure part, from the vendor standpoint of view, the service that you give, right, will always be something, scale. So deeper personalization, and any company who is, providing, investing a lot on customer success part,
Correct.
from the service provider point of view, will have a very good chance, making, I will say, making yourself, more closer to the customer.
So I could ask another one. What could be the short-term and long-term planning for those organizations, those companies?
You're talking about the cloud vendors?
Cloud vendor as well, but for first who is interested in having this SaaS platform, what should be their way of, from where they should start first? What is the niche from where they have to start?
Yeah, I simply feel that's a very broad question.
Yeah.
When you say from where they should start, what do you mean by from where they should start?
See, we provide cloud platform, right?
Mhm.
So if a person X is coming and they are interested in having a simple OTT platform to be developed,
Mhm.
what we should explain them, whatever we are providing the services, we can explain.
Mhm.
But what they are looking, they can say that I want to host my own OTT.
Okay.
So what question they should ask, or what exactly they are looking, from where we have to start helping them. And for a long run, that's why I asked short term and long term.
Mhm.
For long term, what they would be looking for, persisting their growth of this business. Because we will charge maybe monthly, maybe quarterly, or maybe yearly in one shot.
Okay.
And their business, if that is not clicking in,
Okay.
we have to have our money there. They may be going with
Okay. I think I think irrespective of somebody who is building a software, okay, and then you're providing the software.
Correct.
I don't think it's about whether they are giving a business to you or you are able to put a business. I somewhere feel that, right, if a business is able to survive, they will always have money to invest into it. So basic challenge is to how well, first of all, any software vendors, right, whoever they are trying to first sell a software, because I somewhere feel the infrastructure problem is later on.
Correct.
The first problem is that, right, how well you have understood your market and your end customers' requirement.
Right.
For example, since you rightly gave an example, Netflix.
Correct.
As a business, right, if I do not understand, right, what my viewers are looking for,
Correct.
meaning what kind of content, so a company who is selling a SaaS model or any service, right, or using a SaaS model to sell whatever or not software, meaning any service providing software. So I think instead of starting from what I do, I think always a bigger question should be, how we can help the end customer, right? So a clear understanding of the geography where I'm into basically going for my business, and what is the requirement for your customers. It might be there, the requirement which is fitting for this geography might not fit for the geography.
Right.
So it's very important to understand from the business. So it's a business problem first to solve that, end customer what they're looking for.
Right.
You might be making the English content, but it doesn't go with the Indian content. The Indians are looking for more serials and more Indian content, regional content, and we have variety.
Right.
And if you don't understand that, right, maybe you will not do better in the market. So I think first level is to understand what we are looking for. Once you understand that, right, then the next level will become okay, fine. For such kind of content, I'm just taking a baseline example Netflix when you talked about, right?
Correct.
So I will always look, okay, what kind of content they will look for. Then I will start analyzing if in case I have a data in the place. If I don't have, then I will do a little bit of market research, okay, this data. Then I'll think, okay, in what way I can make this kind of content easier for them to access. Right? So, and if you see that, right, in any SaaS model, if you talk, now that we come to the generic SaaS now.
Correct.
The moment you talk about you're selling a software as a service, now that you're in a service business, right?
Correct.
So you have to understand the end customer is impatient.
Impatient, yeah.
They are looking for, yes, so they are looking for service.
Yeah.
So they are looking to, use your services faster from anywhere, it's possible.
Right.
They don't have the patience. So they want everything, immediately. So how will you understand how easy you are providing them what they are looking for and how easy it is for them to access your things. Now solve this problem using the technology.
Right.
Then that's you start digging, okay, which technology, what I will implement, I'll do that. Then it comes to the software architecture part, and then you have whatever the cloud things to support that.
Correct.
Because unless you don't have it, right, now yes, you can say that you can have it also in premise.
Correct.
But that goes well for the companies, who are working within their organization.
Right. Within their people.
So mostly the banks and all, right?
Yeah.
They want to have their own private cloud.
Private cloud, yes.
So they will say, okay, fine. Even they will also use cloud, but they will have a private cloud, maybe the in-premise only. But they themselves are entirely an empire. But for a larger organization, like those at B2C or even the bigger market,
public
right?
cloud,
Public cloud is there, so they will have to start looking into it. But yes, the question will come the moment you look for it. Then you will have to start from a set of questions, right? Because now that you are trying to, will this cloud service,
right,
will my service provide the availability of my data?
Sustainability
Yes.
as well, yeah.
Will it be secure?
Secure, correct.
Will it be easily accessible?
Correct.
Will it give me 100% uptime?
Right.
High
100%
availability?
is pretty tricky to confirm.
No.
As
It's just a word you say.
Right.
You don't get 100%, you get high availability, switch across the platform.
Correct.
That's the technology behind it.
Yeah.
Right? And do you have the capability to manage the bandwidth, right? So that load balancing you call it, right?
Yeah, those things.
So all those things is to be there, and then you also have, of course, software design, how you design. So speed and all those things. From user point of view, right? User will not understand all these things.
Correct.
All they understand is that whether I am able to
Right.
access my information
Right.
whenever I want from wherever I want.
Right.
Whether I am getting a good experience. So UI UX, which is not part of the cloud, but it's a part of the software.
Right.
So everything is tied to it.
Correct.
From a cloud vendor point of view, you have to provide these things so that they are able to help their end customers. So when you say you have to make a business case,
Right.
I don't think somebody who is pushing to these companies, right?
Right.
You should pitch a company saying that, hey, I'll help you with this. Rather, your pitching should be with my services you will be able to do that.
Perfect.
Meaning how you will be able to solve your customer, because that's when you start meeting their problem, which means they will start seeing the dollars, the money.
What we have experienced, a couple of developed their application,
Okay.
but their application was full of vulnerability. And they started saying, sir, it is down, the site is down, the database is down, your VPS is down, and even VM needs to be rebooted. But when we asked whether you have done the software development, whole platform, ground up, through a complete process of security keeping in mind, they have no answers. They don't want to confirm anything on that. So can we recommend day one, saying that you have to develop the software with security always in mind, plus you may have to go for VAPT, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing before hosting or before making it live. Can we recommend anything like that?
Yes, surely. I mean, see, no company would want, even if I am starting small, right? I will not say that, right, I am in the market without security.
Right.
let's say if your company is even if it's hosting a simple website, okay, even that website, right, you can host it even 1,000 rupees.
Correct.
Somebody who is a one-person company, shared hosting.
Right.
But I would always look for, okay, that shared hosting is being done with somebody, so they will have security.
Correct.
Right? Maybe I will have WordPress. You will use some basic plugins to secure those things. But the bigger question is that, right, when you say that, should you recommend, before that you should understand, right, what kind of companies that you're targeting to. Correct. And what stage they are in.
Correct.
Right? And what kind of critical data that you need to save.
Correct.
For example, if in case I am having only a website,
Yeah.
I might not, worry more about, getting some pages hacked and all, maybe I can get it done, right? So it's important, right, to convey in a way that, to kind of the companies for whom, the data security is far more important.
Correct.
Now, yes, you are right that, for vast majority of the companies, and I will not call this as that they are not doing it. I would say that, right, it's an evolution, right? The companies have evolved. If you see not every company across the world is digitally mature, and they are also trying to mature.
Right.
After the COVID-19, this is pushed them again. At one point, companies are moving digitally.
Right.
Another challenge happened, right? That security vulnerability started happening more, and it's more about see, more people are getting educated about it. There will be, you will always find something more people trying to find corners and do things. So security is ever-ending process.
Right.
There is no end to it. As a business owner, right, they have to always make a decision, right? They know what is my immediate critical information without which I cannot do the business.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And for that, if it is needed, it has to be done.
Right.
Now, if they don't realize, right, for a vendor, right, if you are into that business, right, you have to convince or maybe educate the market instead of educating a single guy. Now, why I'm focusing on educating a market? Because, when you educate one person, it will be a very, very challenging for you.
Correct.
And people do not want to be sold. Right? They don't want to say, hey, if I am telling you it is good, you will not believe me. But when you also realize that, things are happening around you. Right? And if the market is talking about, this is happening, so then they start believing, okay, somebody is doing it. If it is happening, maybe I should do that.
Right.
And that's when if you do that, right, then your challenge is not here to educate somebody, rather your challenge will be only to prove yourself that whether you are capable of doing that or not.
Perfect.
Right?
Perfect.
Now if you're starting every time, from the entire market, so that is where, a companies like you, right, I somehow believe that, gone are the days 10 years back, sales people used to go, even today sales people can go and, convert the market. But the thing is, sales cycle is going to be very longer.
Correct.
Because then you have to convince the client, make them understand about it. Imagine if the client is already educated through multiple sources.
Right.
And if they come to you, your sales cycle will be lesser.
Correct.
So if you focused more on demand creation,
Correct.
and I say demand creation, meaning making aware about the problem, not about your product.
Okay.
Okay, that is just a solution.
Correct. Correct.
Letting them about this is the problem, and then how it has to be solved.
Right.
So if you start evangelizing, right, initially you might not see the result, short term which you talked about, right?
Correct.
But in the long term, you will have enough benefit. And this is changing, especially after COVID, because see now every company is somewhere technology company, and
Correct.
like if you are a cloud vendor, right? So you have in the market there are thousands of cloud vendors.
Hundreds.
So why somebody will trust?
Right.
Second, so that's when, right, if a company who is not focusing on selling, rather focusing on educating the problem for a specific market, okay, gradually, right, things will happen. But that doesn't mean that sales team is not going to work. The sales team is going to work, but it's not that a sales team will be always into demand capture side, always selling. Not everybody is ready right now. Even if they need a product, but if I feel that it is not important for me, I will never buy. You might think it is important, but maybe I am stubborn. I don't understand unless I do not realize it's not important for me.
Right. So understanding factor, which you have indicated, I agree that plays very important role. Specifically when you are having multiple customers, and that leads to securing their personally identifiable information, which many cases what I have seen customer does not understand what is PII and why it is needed. Now you see government guidelines is coming up where we have to be very sure what we are asking from the customer, and customer, if they don't want to keep have those services, so you have to take care of that data to be removed if required. So we are trying to explain these things. We are working on that, and then thank you for giving all this leading practices here. Anything which is at the end you like to add and saying like yes, that would benefit small and medium industry, MSMEs or startup?
See, I think, again, I would always say that it's very broad because I see SMEs differently, MSMEs differently, and startups differently. The entire culture itself is different, right? You see that. Although they are all businesses, right?
Correct.
But how I look these companies in a different way. For example, if somebody says startup, okay, my impression would be that somebody who is always looking for growth, and they are those kind of lot. They are techies, or even if they are not techies, right? They will be business, but they understand fairly that you understand the modern way of doing the business.
Right.
So they will start a problem. They always have a growth mindset, right? The growth mindset is more important. That's where I call the startups now.
Growth mindset.
Yes. Now, why I'm saying MSMEs and SMEs, whatever, right? Because see, you in India also. I'll talk about India. You have, if you go to Gujarat, right? That's a hub for the SME and MSMEs, right?
Yeah.
You have so many manufacturing companies, and seeing a revenue of 50 to 500 crore or 600 crore is common, right? But have you noticed that, right? Even those companies, why these companies are not getting funded? But investors are ready to fund the completely new business from scratch, okay? But not into the businesses which are running with a say 50-60 crore with the same constant growth.
Right.
The only factor is that the trajectory part, right? The general impression is that, right, if the company who has been doing business, constantly doing the same business, right, if you had a growth mindset, right, you always look for, not growth this way. You will look for a growth this way.
Yes.
That means, now it is not something which, so here anybody definitely can make out, okay, the founder is not having an innovative mindset. So mindset is the problem here. What investors or somebody looking for a mindset, that if somebody is coming, because they are always scared, if you don't have the mindset, you will have, the moment a product is popular, right, you will have 100 competitors coming in the market. How you will evolve? What innovative things that you will bring? Will you be always ready for the growth mind? So that's the reason, right? Do you ignore the technology disruption that the technology is bringing, or do you think that the technology is overhead free? And mind you, right, for most of the MSMEs I have personally interacted, right, if you go to them, right, technology is overhead for them. While I say completely that yes, you should never start the technology, right?
With the business.
Yes, but you cannot ignore the disruption being caused by the technology.
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
If you ask me, right, vast majority of the SMEs and MSMEs, right, in no time, right, it will be disrupted.
Right.
Data says that, right, the company which was earlier 10 years back, vast majority, I don't have the stats, I can't tell. But that you can, if you go, right, Google, right, you'll see that, right, the company which were present, right, vast majority of companies were present 10 years, 15 years back, now they are not. Right. So tomorrow any one new startup will come, and like Uber, and they will disrupt the entire car kind of market. Similarly, you manufacturing business. So same thing. I interacted so many MSME guys, manufacturing women when there was COVID was happening. COVID was there, so their business entirely shut. Right, and they were all in the panic mode. Right. So see, when you invest in technology or not digital transformation growth, right, you don't invest when already calamities are there. You invest